Hello, hello, my beautiful family. I'm your host, Mimi Talut. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, welcome to the family. And if you're a returning listener, welcome back. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about money management. Yes, we are going to be talking about money. I feel like money is a big part of our society, so we definitely need to be talking about money more often. Just a quick disclaimer before we dive into today's episode. In today's episode, everything that I share is based on my personal experience with money management. I am not a financial advisor in any way, but if you are looking for professional guidance, I would encourage you guys to reach out to a certified financial advisor. Now that we got that out of the way, let's continue with today's episode. So, yes, we are going to be talking about money management. As you guys know, this podcast is all about making time for what truly matters. It might be you want to go on vacation, or you just have a goal to buy a house or buy a car. And a lot of these things that we want to do in life require money. So, you need to know how to manage your money. You need to know how to save your money, how to spend your money on the right things in life. Because if you have no money, there's a lot of things that you cannot do. There's a lot of things that you cannot participate in. So, knowing how to manage your money is a big part of life. So, this is why we are going to talk about this topic today. As I am sharing my experience on how I manage my money, hopefully you guys can reflect on how you manage your money. Before we even get deeper into the conversation, I just want to ask you guys this question. What is money management to you? Think about this question. As you're thinking, I'm going to share my definition of money management. To me, money management is basically how I spend my money and how I track its movement. I think this is a pretty straightforward definition. A more dictionary definition of money management is the process of budgeting, saving, investing, spending, and generally overseeing the use of your capital. Now I'm going to break it down a little bit. I will be talking about three money practices that I believe can be very beneficial if you're able to incorporate them in your money management strategies. The three money practices include saving money, paying your bills on time, and keeping track of all of your asset and your spending. Now, let's talk about saving money first. I want you to ask yourself, are you more of a spender or are you more of a saver? You need to know which one of those two categories you fall under, because based on whether you are a saver or a spender will determine what money management strategy will best fit your personality. And if you feel like you're stuck in the middle, you don't know where you fall, you can ask, a family member, a friend, if they think you are like more of a saver or a spender. Trust me, they will know which one of those two categories you fall under. Me personally, I am a saver. I've been saving money since I was in elementary school. It's just, I don't know, it's just something that I always love to do. I don't know why. I guess it's just kind of ingrained in me. I'm a saver, and my sister Naki can definitely vouch for me on that one. I've been saving since I was a little girl. I remember when I was in Haiti, in elementary school, probably like fourth grade, and every day when my sister and I would go to school, our parents will give us 100 Haitian good for lunch. And good is the money currency in Haiti, and 100 good translate to 20 Haitian dollars. And back then, honestly, I would only use $10 for lunch and I would save the other half. And the reason why I used to do that is because I knew at a very young age that me having $20 for lunch was a luxury because I love to observe people, and kids my age only had like $10 or less for lunch. So I told myself, if most of my classmates are using $10 for lunch and they're surviving, I can survive just by using $10. So I will use my $10 for lunch and I'll save the other 10. And honestly speaking, I wasn't really saving for anything major. Like I said, I was in fourth grade. So I would just save the money for like a later time, maybe to buy a gift for someone or just to buy snack and clothes. For some reason, when I was little, I used to want to buy my own clothes, even though my parent will buy me clothes, but I used to want to kind of like buy what I wanted. So yeah, I would save money to buy clothes and snack and whatnot. As I get older, I started saving for bigger things. In college, I wanted to buy a car. So I told myself I was going to save to buy my first car. The funny thing is, I didn't even have a regular job. I went to school upstate, so I didn't have a car. I couldn't really get a job off campus. I had a work study job at a library on campus, and I saved half of my money. The technique that I used to save money was that I had two bank accounts. I had Bank of America and I had Jovia. I had direct deposit, and what I did was I split it. The reason I did that while I was saving was because I wanted the money I was saving for the car to be on the Jovia's account. And I put 40% on that account and I never looked at it until it was time to buy my car. And then the 60% that was on my Bank of America, that's what I used to like pay my phone bills, buy snack and whatever I needed. So that's a technique that you can use if you're saving for something and you do have two bank accounts, especially if you feel like you need a little bit discipline when it comes to like dipping in your savings. So just having them in two separate accounts and putting that card somewhere, that's a technique that I use to save money. We are all different. You don't have to use my technique. You can just use a technique that works best for you. But overall, I would strongly recommend you guys to include saving as part of your money management strategy. You can save for different reasons. You can save to travel, you can save for your education, you can save so you can pay your student loan, or you can just save money for case of emergency. Now that's a very big one. You want to have a saving account. You want to have some money set aside for emergencies. Um, let's be real. Life is unpredictable. We never know when things gonna hit the fan and when you're gonna need quick cash to solve a problem. You wanna at least have a little bit money saved so that you are able to solve your own problem. Overall, I feel like saving money is very beneficial in the long run. Now, let's talk about the different ways you can save money. To save money, you can have a regular savings account or you can have a high yielding savings account. To my understanding, the difference between the two is that a high yielding savings account will offer a higher APY on your account. And the APY is basically the interest that will accumulate in your account. I have a traditional savings account and I also have a high yielding savings account. And I can tell you from personal experience, I prefer the high yielding savings account just because I know for a fact every month I get interest on it, while my savings account probably collect 1 cent every quarter. So personally, a high yielding savings account is a way to go. Honestly, most of my savings, I pretty much move them to my high yielding savings account. I barely have any money on my savings account. A CD account is another good way to save money. CD stand for certified deposit. A CD account is good if you are saving money for a period of time, like a time frame. Basically, you can put your money in a CD account for 6 months, 1 year, or 2 years. I feel like it's good if you're saving for something bigger, like buying a car or buying a house. The one downfall, in my opinion, when it comes to the CD account is that there is a time frame. So it's pretty much like a contract between you and the bank where You say, okay, I'm gonna give you this money for 6 months. You sign the contract, and it's like you cannot touch the money until after the 6 months. And if you do withdraw money before the 6 month, you will be paying a penalty fee. To me, a city account is not ideal because I'm one of those people when it comes to money management, when it comes to my money, I love having power over my money. I love having control. I want to have the flexibility to move my money the way I want to move it. So I didn't like the city account restrictions, but let me tell you, that fee is real because I did put my money in a city account and I didn't really like the interest rate that I was getting every month. So I decided to withdraw my money and open a high yielding savings account instead. And I had to pay that fee. But it's me. It's my preference. I know other people who prefer a city account for that same restriction that I don't like. We are all different. We all have different strategies. We feel comfortable with different things. So that's why you have to figure out what type of person you are, what kind of money management will work best with your personality to determine, okay, what kind of savings account I need to have. For example, my mom had a city account and it worked perfectly for her. She put her money in a city for a period of time. She didn't touch that money. She didn't look at that money because she was saving it to buy a house. So that strategy worked for her in that situation. In my opinion, I feel like if you're more of a spender, a city account might be a good way for you to start saving money because that restriction will make it easier for you to be disciplined. If you're one of those people who's always taking money out of your savings account and you can't control it, try a city account. That might work for you. Like I said, when it comes to money management, you just have to know yourself and know what type of money management strategy will best fit your personality and your needs. Now let's talk about the next topic, which is paying your bills on time. I cannot talk for every country, but I reside in the United States and I know every month I have a list of bills that I have to pay. All of those bills are due on different dates. To manage your money, you have to make sure you have a strategy in place on how you're going to pay your bills on time. I have one credit card due on the 5th of the month, and I have another credit card that is due on the 28th of the month. And the older you get, the more bill you have. So you definitely have to set some time aside and sit down and go over your finances to make sure that you are paying all of your bill on time. What I recommend is to do direct deposit, especially for the bigger bills that you have for the month and also the bills that are pretty much consistent and the amount don't really change every month. For instance, your internet bill, your cable bill, your phone bill. Usually these are the same every month. If you're able to set automatic payment for those, I would. Other things I would really encourage you guys to set automatic payment for include, paying your rent, paying your car insurance, or if your car is a lease or, if you finance your car, like your car payment, all of those are big bills that you need to pay because if you don't pay your car, if you finance it, they will eventually come get that car from you. If you don't pay your rent, you are risking getting evicted. So these are important things that you need to pay. So I would definitely recommend do automatic payment for those. And then like other bills that are like different every month, you manage it the way you want. I'm recommending it. I'm not saying you have to do it. At the end of the day, you're gonna do what's best for you. I'm just sharing what I have done, what have worked for me. And if it worked for me, I know it might work for some of you. And for those of you who are looking for advice on how to manage your money, I hope what I'm sharing will be helpful to some of you. So yeah, so set automatic payment. When it comes to paying my credit card, me personally, I do not do automatic payment. And the reason is because I like to pay more than the minimum amount due on my credit card. It's just a preference. I feel like it's beneficial for me. The more I pay on my credit card, the less interest the bank will charge me overall every month. So that's something I would definitely recommend. If you are able to pay more than the minimum payment on your credit card, do it. It won't hurt. But if you can only pay the minimum, that's fine. But if you can pay more, I would encourage you to do that. Also, pay your credit cards on time. Always pay your credit card on time. You do not want to keep doing late payment. That will affect your credit score, and you don't want your credit score to be affected, especially if you have goals to buy a house, to finance a car. You need to have good credit score. So manage your money, manage your credit score, so you can go after these things that you want in life. Another topic that I want to talk about is keeping track of your asset and your spending. You want to be able to track your money movement. Now I am going to share what I usually do to track my money. So every month I sit down with myself and I do what's called a financial date. And what I do is I go over all of my bank accounts, see how much money I made, how much money I put on my savings, and then I check all of my credit cards. I don't just pay my credit card. I actually go on each of the apps and see all of the transaction. And I made sure that all of the transaction on my account are from my purchases. That's something you want to do because you don't want to get scammed and then you don't know about it. I'm gonna give you guys an example of when I was in college. I realized there was a weird purchase on my bank account one day, and I was like, okay, this purchase was made in like a state that I never been to at the time. I don't remember what state it was, but let's say it was Arizona. I'm like, I've never been to Arizona, but yet somebody purchased something in Arizona, so I had to call my bank account and tell them, hey, this purchase was made and it wasn't me, and I'm like, I've never been to that state. Then customer service was telling me, oh, you had the same transaction the previous 2 months. And I didn't realize that. Why? Because at the time I did not used to check my bank account every month. So so basically it took me like 3 months to realize that I had fraudulent activities on my bank account. So that was a lesson learned from me. So then I started checking my account at least every month. If you can do it more often, definitely do it more often to make sure that your transaction belongs to you. Another good thing to check is your credit score. Check your credit score and make sure all the credit card listed on your credit history, you open them. Because I know in high school, somebody opened a credit card under my mother's name, and if she did not check her credit score, she would have never known that credit card was there. And, she had to kind of like close it out and not use it. So you need to check all of these things and make sure you're not the victim of fraudulent activities. At least nowadays, the banks are really good with that, where they will send you text message to alert you if there's something suspicious on your account. So that's a good thing, but I will strongly recommend you to check for yourself as well. To wrap up this episode, I just want to let you guys know that you can do whatever you put your mind into. If you are listening to this episode and you do not have a savings account, I would strongly recommend you to open a savings account. And honestly speaking, you don't even have to save that much. You can start really small. You can literally put $10 every paycheck on your savings account. Yeah, I know that amount sounds small, but if you do it consistently, that money will grow over time. Obviously, if you're able to put in more, do it. But if you're only able to put that $10, do it, because you never know when you're going to have an emergency, or, you might want something and you haven't been able to purchase that thing. Just start putting money aside little by little for that thing that you want to buy, for that trip that you want to go to, or, just for like an emergency. So I strongly recommend you to start saving money. Pay all of your bills on time. Check all of your bank accounts, your credit card account, and make sure everything is good. I am sure some of you are already doing all of the things that I have talked about in this episode. So if you're someone who's already tracking your money movement, who's saving and doing all of these things, you use this episode as a reminder of how important it is to manage your money. But if you're someone who needs to start saving, you need to start tracking your finances, I hope this episode have encouraged you to start doing that. I hope you guys enjoy listening to this episode. Hopefully, you learn something from it. And, if you guys are enjoying the podcast so far, I would really appreciate it if you would go and leave me a review on whatever platform you use to listen to the podcast. Again, thanks so much for listening, and I will see you on my next episode. Au revoir.